fixed everything. Everything's fixed. Like even the microphone's fixed. It's not the microphone's fault. I was the camera angle. It's working. All right. We've established it's working.
Okay,
We're
yeah,
live.
yeah.
You're live. Don't get nervous. But we're live. Millions of people.
Okay, so basically, we blame the equipment.
Plus, also, I realized that it's not the microphone, which we've established. I've got a bigger microphone than you.
Yeah, that makes you happy.
Does make me happy, thank you. It's not that. It's that the camera angle needed to change so that I could have it up at my face height.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
today, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about bean size and how is that important. The size of bean.
Is it important?
Is it important?
If it's not, it's going to be a very short podcast.
Yeah. I don't think it's important.
All right. See you next week, Max. Now we're going to be talking about bean size and quality a little bit, but we're going to keep it at a very very real. We're going to keep it
and
real.
Also, is it the bean size or is it how you use it?
Yeah. Well, there's actually all the elements in there, and don't even start with those innuendos, Max. Don't even start. Say something.
What's the queen to do? Why are you quoting the queen now?
I'm not quoting the queen. Me and the queen are tight. I wouldn't disrespect her. Look, I've got some beans here that we're going to actually.
Wow, you're gonna show your beans on camera.
I'm going to live show my beans, live stream my beans.
How big are they?
They're bigger than your beans, Max. So we've got. But before we start that, actually, this is a show on coffee, just in case you're wondering. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about bean size and quality, but keeping it real to a point where we're just going to give like an understanding when you go out and you buy your coffee, like actually kind of what all this means. So we're not going to go into deep technical details about, every type of defect and how that comes about and roasting techniques. No,
but we know all of those.
But I know everything. I'm just not going to tell you. That's right.
We're not going to tell. Yeah,
it's
fair enough.
No, we're going to talk about it in terms of how it makes difference to what kind of coffee you're buying. I tell you how this came about was because my ex was asking me why her beans were so cheap. She's like, why you buy such expensive beans? And I said, because they're better quality. How you know it's better quality? And so she's like,
because they don't taste like rubbish. Garbage.
Well, no, she likes the taste of her beans, but that is the point: is that they should taste better. But why? And what is all this about? And is there also, like a way?
What does better mean?
Yeah, well, in this context, better means speciality, or if you're in America, specialty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's an actual definition for what specialty means, and we'll cover that. I tell you what, though, a couple of things. Modalities, as I've got a friend that likes to say. Number one modality is it's the last week before we give away a kilo of farm to home Ethiopian coffee. Mm-hmm. So if you're on the YouTubes, go look below, and there'll be a link. Obviously not live because I haven't put it in there yet. Oh God Almighty! Oh no, we haven't gone live. You know what? I did this again. Remember last time I didn't hit the final button.
Oh,
I didn't hit the final button. There's always another button. Hey, we're receiving it. Goes, yeah, you set it all up. Now do you want to go live? And you go, yes, please. So but at least I remembered. Before you make that face. Now we've got to call the title.
Are we live now?
Coffee bean size.
We're not live yet.
No, we're not live yet. And I got so excited that it worked that I forgot to hit the final button.
Oh my God.
Coffee bean size and quality, a practical guide.
Don't say coffee beans, just say bean size and quality. Doesn't matter. Is the quality or is how you use it?
I can't spell practical because
clickbait people.
Guide. Clickbait people. No, you sound like my marketing department.
Clickbait.
I can't think of a description. Start the podcast.
You are the marketing department. Come on.
As marketing people are terrifying, let me tell you. So we're starting it up on the YouTube. Mm-hmm. You can hear the engine starting up. It's a bit throttly. You have to give it like in the old days, like you had to kickstart your motorbike. It's a bit like that. Kickstart it. And it doesn't go over. And there's only certain times, like there's a certain number of times. Like everyone now has got an electric start on their motorbike. But back in the old days, You had to put some muscle in, put a bit of welly into it, didn't you?
No, I was born after the invention of electricity.
Well, okay.
But it's
Actually,
okay.
I
I
was.
mean, it's fine.
I'll tell you the problem with riding a motorbike only in the fair weather, because I took my motorbike down to Weybridge the other day to go see my son, and I was riding back down the motorway, and I was in the fast lane, and traffic was starting to pile up, which is fine because you're on a motorbike, so you just weave in between the traffic. I don't think you can do that in America. I think that's against the law.
Oh, you can.
Oh, can you? Okay, I didn't know that. Anyway, but in the UK, anyway, at least you can certainly go in between the traffic. So that's what I was doing. I was doing about 50 miles an hour in between the traffic, and
someone decided to open the door because they didn't want you to get through.
Well, no, but people were moving between lanes because everyone does that little dance where they go, "Ooh, that lane looks better," and they move across. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to put my headlights on full because it's daytime. I'm going to put my headlights on full just to make sure they see me. But I accidentally hit the engine kill switch instead because they're both the same buttons, but one's on the right and one's on the left. But the thing is, I hit the engine kill switch. I didn't immediately know why my engine died, because that's a rational thought. So I'm in the fast lane. Suddenly I've got no power.
And suddenly go, boom.
It doesn't even do anything like that. It just stops. And so you pull in the clutch to keep some momentum going. And try to work out what. So the first thought is I got to get across onto the hard shoulder, right? In between the cars are still sort of trying to jockey for their positions, and now I don't have any power, and I'm starting to fall behind. So what you do as a motorcyclist, you're supposed to wave your hand down like that in a flappy motion, which says I'm slowing down. It's a bit like a scream for help.
Nobody knows that.
Nobody knows that, but that's the technical highway code, what you're supposed to do. But of course, you can't do that because your hand's on the clutch. So you just pull over without people knowing at all why you're only going now 20 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour. I got down to about 5 miles an hour in the middle lane. Cars were going quite fast down the slow lane. I just pulled out. I just pulled it across before I stopped. Somebody's braked to avoid hitting me. And then I realized, I hit the wrong button. So is that a bad sign, Max? Is that a sign of things not going well?
I think so. I think you should give your bike to me.
It's too much of a bike for you, Max. You can't handle that much motorbike.
I can.
Will your feet even touch the ground? It's quite a tall bike. I'd hate to put you on it and your little feet just to dangle in the air like that.
It doesn't need to touch the ground.
You're going.
If you're a confident biker, you don't need to touch the ground.
You just.
I mean, have you seen Danny Pedrosa, Mark Marquez? I mean, they have 1 meter and a coin flat.
What are you talking about?
Motorbike racing drivers.
No, all I know is Rossi. That's all I know.
Rossi is like 7 meters tall. That he's strange. Don't consider him. Yeah,
he's quite aerodynamic for 7 meters tall, isn't he? Because he wins a lot of races.
When was the last race you've seen?
When my son was about 6, we went live up to Silverstone. Is that a long time ago?
Okay, because he hasn't won anything since 4 years.
Look, I'm on my YouTube page and we're live. Oh, let me just turn that off.
Dear.
We're talking. I just need to hit the chat in case someone chats to us.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
And so we can ignore it.
So I can just, I need to know if I'm ignoring somebody. There's that satisfaction.
Exactly. Yeah, otherwise it doesn't make, ignoring someone while not knowing it.
Oh, don't even start with the whole Zen thing.
Or
again.
is it actually, you need to know that someone is talking to you, so you actively ignore them and then...
Well, either way, you're ignoring them. Just one's more satisfying than the other. Now, listen up. We're going to talk about coffee. Actually, before we talk about coffee...
Now, for the third time, today, we're talking about bean size.
Well, we're giving away the Ethiopian farm-to-home coffee.
And you will have to tell us what size they come into. And so you have to measure each one of them. We're expecting that. We're expecting one of you to measure each bean and give us a distribution.
My dad's calling. Should I answer?
Probably.
Okay, no, I won't. I'll call him later.
So we want to know the distribution of the size of the bean, and actually we would want to know both the size in length and width, and also the volume. So to calculate the volume, you just go and take one bean, you put it in a glass of water, dip it in all the way, and then take it off and measure how much water you removed, so you know that you know how the volume of the bean. And we would really like you guys to do it for every bean.
I'm just going to edit this out, Max. You know that.
You're not. We're live. You can't edit it out.
There's no I can't stop you. I've lost control of the show.
You can't stop me. I'm unstoppable.
So listen, we're giving it away. There'll be a link below. We've had quite a few people sign up on the email and also on Instagram. If you follow us on the Instagram, which is _bar talks, and also Farm to Home Coffee, you get to enter for free and for no money whatsoever. Max will come around and personally deliver and make your coffee for you
on Nick's bike.
On my bike. He may not come around. You might just get the coffee in the post. But you could always look forward to the possibility that Max will come around and make it for you, like a butler. Everybody should have a butler. Is that a unicorn? What is it?
A unicorn.
Did you get that from McDonald's?
No.
Okay. So my dad's calling again. He's going to be so disappointed. I'm live, Dad. Hold on. I'm just live on a podcast, Dad. Can I call you back in about 30 minutes? All right. Thanks very much. Bye now. Bye.
Everything's happening today.
And so there's a news story on the Bar Talks. So the bartalks.net is a website that we run. It talks about the coffee and the cocoa industry. Interestingly, because I only say this because it's a segue from Ethiopia and talking about Ethiopian coffee. Yeah. We did an article. My Asia correspondent Azra wrote an article on Ethiopian forest coffee. So, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, a UK-based website have I wanted to do a funny here, but
well, she's an Asian correspondent. She works out of Japan actually.
So she's in Japan doing a report in Africa.
I don't have a lot of people, Max. I don't have people in every country. I'm not the BBC or Al Jazeera here.
Why don't you?
Not yet. Well, because I haven't made enough money yet.
What's stopping you? Make more money.
My brains. I just already told you about killing my engine switched on my motorbike. Clearly, this gives you a clue. All right.
Yeah, that's a bit of a giveaway. Talking of which, we're giving away 1 kilo.
1 kilo of farm to home coffee from Ethiopia. And if you want to learn about Ethiopian coffee, great opportunity just to jump over to the website and have a read of the forest coffee. Because it's kind of interesting how, if you want to know the difference between forest coffee, it's actually, I don't want to the whole details, but basically most people, when you're setting up a coffee farm, you're you get the ground prepared, you cut everything down and you plant your coffee trees.
You don't burn it.
You hopefully don't burn it.
You don't burn it.
No, you shouldn't burn it. But with forest coffee, you basically plant the trees in with the forests that's already there. And it's kind of cool because you got that whole biodiversity, and it's actually better. You actually get some pretty good coffee out of it. And if you think you've never had forest coffee and want to get some quickly and you're interested to try, Waitrose sells that Union Roasted Yayu Forest. It's actually Ethiopian forest coffee. They've been one of the first partners in it.
And,
or
does it taste foresty?
Taste the mulch. The mulch. Yeah. But anyway, so the farm to home coffees, I've been drinking a lot of I've been working my way through their 4 different coffees. I've had the Ugandan, that's the first one I had. I've had the Ethiopian. I'm going through a kilo of the Tanzanian right now, which I really like. So it's definitely worth your while entering in to get that.
So enter quickly, because otherwise Nick will drink it.
Nick will drink it.
What am I saying?
You can't edit it out. It's live. Everyone knows, Max.
Otherwise, Drink will nick it.
Drink will nick it.
Actually, that works too.
It works just as well. And Max, you had your jab yesterday.
Yeah.
You don't even know where you are. You're whacked out on drugs.
I have no idea. Who are you again?
Yeah.
Let me just press this red button here.
Don't press any buttons. Just stay right there. Listen. So the first thing we're going to talk about with coffee quality on beans is what you should do.
We're streaming in America, but you have to learn quality.
Quality, right?
It's quality.
Bruv. bruv.
It's quality. It's quality, bruv.
It's quality, bruv. That's what happens
Quality.
when you go and buy a secondhand watch from somebody on the street. It's quality, bruv. And so the quality when it comes to coffee beans, I do think it's a great idea when you get a bag of beans, pour some into your hand and look through and see whether or not they all look uniform and they all look uniformly roasted and whether they look like odds and ends in there. And I've got a few here that I'm going to show.
Yeah, and I have actually a shout out for all the roasters that are listening to us, because all of the roasters are listening to us. Guys, put the best one at the top.
That's right. Just put the bag in and then just sprinkle some good ones at the top.
Yeah, just wipe the floor and put the one really those are in the main part of the bag, and then at the top just put the best ones. Just handpick a few.
Look, if they're selling specialty coffee, the kind of people that we go to are all selling specialty. So it's actually kind of a good introduction to this, because
yes, and if they actually wipe the floor and sell those beans, is actually going to be called something fancy, at least.
Yeah, it's a special extra for that. Floor beans instead of forest beans. You've got floor beans.
Floor forest bean. Yeah.
The leftovers. So when you're talking about specialty coffee, there's actually a definition for it, and there's actually different definitions generally, depending on who you talk to, what part of the world you're in. But coffee's graded. So the actually one of the main things to understand when you're looking at different kind of coffee is where has it been graded. So in Asia tends to be a different grading system. In the US or Europe. I think US and Europe merged. I think the SCA merged with the European Coffee Organization, and they basically merged their standards. So that's kind of the one I go off of, but it means that it has to have a certain number of traits associated with it, so that when you're buying something that is considered specialty coffee, you know that it's going to hit certain quality notes.
You know that a group of people decided that those coffees are good.
Yeah, but they follow a very prescriptive methodology.
It's people taste. I'm still after some scientists to actually get a profile defined for what is specialty coffee and what isn't, and what is a flavor profile that is above a certain threshold. If you can't put a number to it, it's just someone's opinion to me.
Right, well, they do put a number to it.
I like to stay grumpy.
They do put a number to it, but those
numbers are. But it's actually someone tasting.
It's someone tasting it, but then they go through a methodology for training those people. That's about as good as you can get.
Yeah, it's but it's still
qualitative
subjective
process. It is subjective. It's a qualitative process. But what's not qualitative, there is a quantitative element to it, and that's in size and defects. So if you're going for it, so if you imagine, I'm going to try and go off the top of my head what the different grades are. So the top grade, you've got specialty. Specialty is actually the top. And if you're going to classify something as specialty coffee, and by the way, classify to who? Do you go into a Waitrose or something? No, it's actually to the roaster when they're buying. When they're buying, they will want to know what kind of grade of coffee that they're buying. So if they're buying from an importer or whatever, they will ask for a sample. So for example, there's an importer in Europe, I think they're in Switzerland, called Algrano. You can go onto their website. In the US, I think Ali Coffee is very big. And they've got really slick websites. And if you're a coffee roaster, you just go onto their website and you can look through the histories and types of coffees that are available. And you can buy in nowadays relatively small quantities. You don't have to buy a container. Now, if you're a bigger roaster, you might actually have a direct relationship with the farmers. And that's really cool. That's really cool. But for a smaller roaster, you can buy from these importers. But when you do that, you want to know what you're buying. So you'll get a sample sent to you. And here's the first clue. The sample needs to be representative of what you're going to get. So that means quality, because quality is all about consistency. And they'll tell you
that's
the grade.
Actually, that's it's just how the sample is taken. So it must be a homogeneous sample.
It must be a homogeneous sample. Well, the coffee must be homogeneous.
Yeah. Well, no, the sample has to be homogeneous.
Well, yeah, but if the sample doesn't represent the rest of the lot, then it's not homogeneous, is it?
But that's the sample. The sample is a homogeneous sample. So you pick normally what you do with analytical chemistry. You take 3 samples in a barrel, and you take top, mid, and bottom, and you take a sample that is big enough to be representative in terms of volume as well, because otherwise you might be picking out some smaller subpopulation of sample. So, for example, taking 3 beans out of a bag makes no sense. You have to take a random bag or 3 random bags probably, and take multiple samples from the 3 random bags. But I don't know if this is followed actually.
Well, technically, what they do is they measure, and I don't know what bags to take them out of, but technically, in terms of the grading process, they measure, I think, per 350 grams. So there's the amount of primary and secondary defects. So they have these things called primary and secondary defects. And you have, let's go through the grades. So in terms of what we're drinking, if you're going to go to a roaster, you're drinking specialty coffee. A specialty coffee is the top grade. It should have no primary defects out of 350 grams. And depending upon what kind of secondary defect, there's a few, and we'll talk about it's a couple of the common ones, what kind of secondary defect you can have, up to 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And so basically, if it's a minor secondary defect, you can have more of them before it hits a point where it says, no, this is no longer a specialty grade. So you have specialty grade. I think the next one down is premium. And I think then you have exchange, and then you have crap or something like that. So the premium grades.
I'm gonna go for the crap one.
Yeah, premium grades are often what you'll get in a coffee shop or something like that. I think when you get down to exchange level, you're talking about supermarket coffee, which is why my ex, can get a bag of coffee for £2.50. And then up below that, you don't even taste it. The specialty coffee has like these, again, it should just have less defects. It should be it should be very similar in size. What is a defect, right, Max?
I don't know. What's a defect?
Well, there's a few of them. So the first thing is,
how much of it is coffee?
It should all be coffee. Well, actually, you say that. No, actually, no. Because you're absolutely right. You can get other stuff in your bag of coffee. If this is actually one of the differences, I think is the case in Asia. So in Asia, you can grade beans, and they can be good quality beans, but you might have a stone in there. And
why in Asia?
Because in Asia that doesn't count against the premium coffee grade. You can still have something that's marked as specialty coffee, I believe.
So
in Asia.
I could actually go to Asia and sell them pebbles and.
Well, no, you're allowed to have one per whatever it is, 350 grams. In the US, or according to the SCA, Specialty Coffee Association of America, I think it is, the Specialty Coffee Association, SCA.
Yeah.
You can't even have one. If you have one stone, if you have one twig, one something else in that 350 grams, it's no longer considered specialty. So that's a primary defect. Whereas in Asia, if you go to Indonesia, that's not the case. I'm pretty certain. So anyway, so you've got these defects. The main things you'll come across there. So that's the first thing. Size is important.
But it is important, size.
Yeah, but it actually is important for 2 reasons.
But what size? What size?
Size of the coffee bean. So like Arabica is naturally a little bit bigger than Robusta coffee.
Isn't it the opposite?
I think it is. No, I don't think it is. I think Robusta is smaller. Yeah. Anyway, they're different sizes. And Arabica beans, if they're large, you go look it up, Max, quickly, and tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me on the side channel so that no one knows. And the
Arabica is bigger. You're right.
Yeah, I thought so. But here's the thing. So generally, a bigger bean is considered a better quality. Not always. It's not the only thing. And that's why you have these little shaking things. So if you go to where they're processing green coffee and they're grading them, they'll have a giant machine that shakes, a bit like me when I'm doing weights, like this, and it shakes, and it's got, I think, 4 or something different screens, each with different holes. And then each screen underneath of it, it sits underneath of it. So it just rattles through, and the smaller beans fall all the way through. and each one has a little chute, and then that's how it divides them out. And it goes, these are the biggest beans, these are smaller beans. The bigger beans are considered better quality, generally, because if they've been all else being considered equal, the bigger beans have been should be sweeter. They've just basically
they spent more time growing on the plant.
That's
and
they
grew longer on the plant. It's actually typical of I know it, Dominican Republic coffee beans. They're massive. They're really, really big because they're grown at an altitude and with very very consistent weather.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes the bean grow steady fairly quickly.
That's right. It's the terroir and the weather and everything else. If you can have that, so it supports these great conditions, so you get these big beans that tend to be sweeter and have a lot more flavor to them. So that's the first sign. The second thing then is actually in some other places they don't mature is the wrong word, but they don't ripen at the same time. So when you've got coffee pickers picking them, they might grab a handful of ripe beans and not so ripe beans.
Right.
So you might, or beans that have been ripened too far and they've gone too far the other way, and they'll generally go either black or they'll go sour. And you don't want any of those in your coffee. So I don't know if that's a primary or a secondary defect. It might be a primary. Don't think you're allowed to have any of those in specialty coffee.
Okay.
You get beans that actually look black, or you get them there and they're sour and they will ruin your entire cup. So you don't want to have any of those in there. But that's a process from the harvesting. Other things that go wrong in harvesting, people will pick up stuff off the floor and you'll get fungus on the coffee bean, on the coffee cherry. So all that kind of stuff. But here's an interesting point. One of the reasons why washing is a great process for coffee is that it tends to be the density of the coffee, if it's healthy, should all be the same and it should sink.
Right.
And the bad ones, typically, just because of luck or whatever the way it is, the bad ones tend to have less dense and will float to the top. So the first thing that you do when you're washing the coffee is you take all the stuff off the top and you get rid of it all. And that's one great way of just immediately separating out a lot of the defects up front.
And you can sell that in supermarket.
And then you put that in, and then you sell it to my ex. So, but look at this. Check this out. I don't know if you can see that. That is a good example.
A very blurry bean.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm holding a bean shell up here. This will be something.
Yeah. Guys on the podcast, look very closely. Listen very closely.
So that's that. If you go and I bet you for a lot of people, if you go and put a bunch of beans in your hand from a bag, you will find that. I just pulled these out from the beans that I've got, which are very tasty beans. I'm going to say which ones
specialty.
They are specialty.
Ooh.
You're allowed to have that as long as it's these shells. I think you can have 5 of them per 350 grams.
What's a shell? What do you mean shells?
It's basically just a shell. There's no. Can't you not see this? You would have seen that. You know what I'm talking about. You'll see it. Can I see that now? It's just the shell. They're shelled. There's no bean inside.
Okay.
Here's another one. Here's another example I took out.
Try to put it sideways because it's really blurry.
Is it? It's because it's my. Yeah. Hold on.
It's focusing on your face.
My stupid face. I don't think it's going to do it, is it?
No.
It's not going to do it. How's about that? Can you see that? No. Is that any better?
No. So anyway, they're empty.
But you get these empty beans. You'll know what I'm talking about. When you put them in your hand, you'll see some of them are empty shells. This one here, again, I'll just do another blurry thing. That one's chipped. So another secondary defect. The reason those are bad is because obviously they won't have roasted in the same way. So the key thing is if you get beans that are different sizes, different densities, when they're in the roaster, they'll cook differently, and you'll get different flavors out of them, and generally bad flavors. So that's the key thing. So that's one of the main differences. So you're allowed to have an X number of these different defects, and I think some of the defects are like chips and elephant ear. Oh, elephant ear! Have you heard of elephant ears?
Yes, they're very large.
Yeah, that's when you get 2 beans that are basically stuck together. And then what happens is that you actually get 2 beans that are stuck together, and then when the roaster tries to roast them, they typically fall apart. And again, they roast differently because, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of the things I look out for when you pull a bag of beans apart and have a look. It's one of the things I look for. I look for the size of the bean. So it's one of the first things I do always on my bag of beans. If I'm looking to see what kind of, I don't say quality, I know it's specialty coffee, but you'll be amazed. Well, maybe you won't be amazed. Sometimes you'll be shocked. Generally speaking, they're pretty good. But I have had ones, I don't want to say which company it was, but of all these coffees that we had, Max, there was one, and actually the weird thing is you really liked it, where I looked at the beans and I had a lot of defects in there. I would say more than should be allowed for specialty coffee.
I think I remember you saying it.
Yeah,
I don't remember who it is.
Yeah, let's just keep quiet about who it was.
It tastes really good. So you know what?
You loved the taste of it. I didn't think it was bad, but what was interesting was just how many defects they had. And I was wondering
the question is to what point those defects can become a defining trait.
You just roast the defects. I just want the defects, please.
Exactly.
You send me a bag of defect.
Because who says that that is not something that is very particular, very peculiar? Who says that you can't find a way of actually harmonizing those flavors into the rest of the coffee? Why not?
Wow. That's always a contrarian, Max. That's you.
That's why I don't think that anything that is graded or numbered with humans involved, where you cannot put numbers on them.
You're a scientist.
I am a scientist. That's how I roll. It's there's no point in. I mean, we can argue on the.
Can you just do me a favor? Pop down to the National Gallery and walk around those works of art and just have a chat with the guy there and ask him exactly how they could quantify the value of that art.
Actually, that is that there is a little more science to it.
Oh, please don't.
It actually has to do with what it refers before. I don't like it. I don't like this kind of things. I don't understand it.
You reduce everything down to numbers.
It can be reduced to numbers because it's, for example, someone is the first time that they come up with that idea, the original. It's something that stirs up public. Generally, to a large percentage of people, it triggers a reaction, whichever reaction. So you can actually number it.
No, I don't think you can, because there's some art that I absolutely hate that other people love, and vice versa.
You hate it, but that's still a reaction.
Yeah, but no. I'm not going to argue about it, but it's about coffee.
It's a reaction. If you don't care about it, there's no reaction. That's a different story.
Oh, please, let's end this podcast. So,
why?
I just wanted to talk about some coffee. These bags. So next time you're opening a bag of specialty coffee, if it's termed specialty,
don't drink it.
Don't drink it. Pour it out all over the floor. Put it on the kitchen table. Have a little look at it and learn something about it. Because you'll notice, you may not notice a lot from the first bag, but as you do bag from bag, you'll start to see, hey, this is really interesting. Some are really consistent. Some beans are larger. Some have more defects.
And remember that if it's that the representative sample is 350 grams, so you will need the whole bag.
You won't need
that. 250 grams is not enough. So you take the whole bag and just spread it on your kitchen table.
I just pour a handful out at a time. If I don't see anything, I pour it back, shake the bag around, pour another handful out. Do that a few times. You'll always get something.
That's actually you are at risk of fishing out the same ones twice. You should remove them.
I'm just getting an idea, Max. I'm not grading them. I'm just getting an idea.
But it's wrong.
It's only wrong if somebody knows it's wrong and counts me against doing it.
I do.
So, yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
I know it's wrong. I'm in your head.
That's why. So listen, next week, what are we going to talk about, Max?
Next week we're gonna.
Yes, that's right, Max. Well done. Very well put, if I might say so myself. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week either, but we will have the winner that we will announce.
We will announce a winner.
Yeah, and it won't be you, Max. So please stop entering.
We start talking about something, Max? And it just goes off.
I know. Hey, talking about going off, Adrian came around here to look at my coffee machine.
Right.
And the plumbing, as we talked about last
Right.
week.
So you have to throw that away as well, right? He
No,
said,
what? The machine?
yeah.
No,
You have to
not
get
at
rid of
all.
it.
He actually liked my grinder. He made positive comments about my my Eureka 65 grinder. He says a lot of shops use that. He likes it. He also told me how to take the front plate off, which I didn't know I could do to clean it. I'm not going to do it though. Don't tell him, because I don't know if I'll be able to put it back together again. He said, be very careful about the electrics, and also there's a little thing that just can all fall apart, but you'll be fine. I say, oh, sure.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. He's going to come in, but I've first got to change the pipes. I've got a decalcifying thing. Not to get too technical, because I know you want to keep high level. Thing in there at the moment that decalcifies. It doesn't take the lime scale out. We've got very hard water here, but it descales somehow, or stops the things from descaling. So we're going to go. Before that, we're going to have to spur off another pipe. And something I noticed about the pipe that I've got that came with the rocket is, he looked down there. I just thought it's a pipe, but it's not just a pipe. It's got a particulate filter in the pipe.
Yes,
I didn't know
you don't want pieces of lime scale that might fall off.
Yeah,
anything
getting into there
to go into the pump, because that will screw up your pump big time.
So he said, that's really cool that you've got that pipe. We'll use that. And so I'm just waiting for the plumber to come around and spur off that pipe, and then he's going to come around and fix it up. I'm very excited about it.
Good. You should be.
Yeah. So let's leave it there, Max. That's all for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and whoever liked our video. I saw somebody did.
Ooh, wow.
Was that you?
I read it. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. It's a real person.
Wow.
I don't know what they liked about it.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to hit the dislike button and hit it by accident.
Yeah, it's the other one.
It's the other one. It's like, yeah.
It's the one on the right.
No. Don't correct them. They've already done it. All right, Max, you have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I'm going to go have a picnic. It's a beautiful day out here. I found a place to go and have a picnic. I haven't had a picnic since I was a kid. So I'm going to go picnic. I actually don't have any food, so I'm hoping that the ex is going to. I'm going to go with the ex and the son, and we're hopefully going to. Hopefully, one of them's going to buy some food.
Okay. Are you probably are you trying to melt them or something?
No, I'm not. We just live next door to each other, so we're going to go out. They're going to try.
1,000 degrees.
Is it?
Well, yeah.
Is it hot outside?
It's very hot outside. I'm okay, but you might melt.
Well, no, I got a bald patch. I always forget about my bald patch. I need to have a hat. But I don't look good with the hats.
Put sunscreen on.
Yeah, I could put some sunscreen on top of my head. Okay. All right, buddy. That's what we're going to do. You have a great Sunday. I will talk to you next week.